170,000 stop and frisks in New York City. 90% of the people were, had absolutely done nothing wrong, and 90% of the people, give or take 2 or 3 points, were people of color. Last year, it was, as you said, almost 700,000. And again, about 90% innocent, about 90% people of color. How many guns they found? 760 guns. And yet he says it makes it safer. That's how he's pushed crime down 29%. What he doesn't say is that in Los Angeles, violent crime is down 59% in the same period. In New Orleans, it's down 56% in the same period. In Dallas, it's down 49% in the same period. In Baltimore, it's down 37% in the same period. Bottom, all these cities have dropped violent crime further without using this outrageous program. And it's really sad because Mayor Bloomberg says that he's investing tens of millions of his own dollars in improving the lives of young black men. But I'm sorry, there's absolutely nothing that you can do to make their lives proportionately better from the harm you've done when you've treated them like criminals their entire life, when you have more stop and frisks of young black men in New York City than there are young black men in New York City. It's absolutely terrifying to see a big city mayor, let alone the mayor of the biggest city in our country, the richest person in that city, a media titan, say that we have to engage in racist behavior to make our cities safer. It is a lie. He has done half as good as the mayor of Los Angeles, and that mayor, unlike him, doesn't use racist tactics.
And finally, Ben Jealous, hundreds of people rallied in Houston on Thursday to protest the acquittal of a former police officer in the videotaped beating of an African-American teenager. On Wednesday, the officer, Andrew Bloomberg, was found not guilty by an all-white jury in the beating and stomping of 15-year-old burglary suspect Chad Holley. A video taken of the March 2010 incident shows Holley being stopped by a police vehicle. After he falls to the ground, he is clearly seen surrendering and putting his hands behind his head. But instead of placing him in handcuffs, Bloomberg and 6 fellow police officers proceed to attack Holley with stomps and kicks. Bloomberg and the other officers lost their jobs after the video emerged. 3 of the officers will learn of their trial dates next week. Your response?
Yeah. Look, this is what people deserve in this country. No matter what color you are, if the cops have you in custody and then they proceed to whoop you and beat you and shoot you, those cops should be held accountable. Our country fought a revolution because sparked by something called the Boston Massacre. What happened that night? There was a group of young men, black and white, walking on the streets of Boston, confronted by royal, gendarmes, the actual cops of their day, the redcoats. One of them, a young black man named Christmas Attucks, was shot and killed. This problem of police brutality in our country goes back to the founding of the country itself. What was different then was that the entire country responded the way that the country should have responded to that young black man being killed wrongfully and said, this is outrageous, it has to stop. And that was actually the spark of our great revolution in this country. Today, hundreds of years later, it seems we've become jaded, willing to accept in too many instances young black people being grossly mistreated, even killed by cops in our country. We have got to get our country to the place that our children, like my 6-year-old daughters in kindergarten, believe it is every day when they say this is one country, indivisible, under God, with liberty and justice for all. What the Chad Holley case tells us is that we're far away from it. What the prosecution of those officers tell us is that it is still possible, even in places like Houston, for us to make progress, more progress than it seems that we're making right now in New York City.
Ben, thanks very much for joining us. Ben Jealous is president and CEO of the NAACP. He's joining us from Miami, Florida.